The first days of the new week began with another victory of the Russian army on the battlefield. Unfortunately for the Ukrainian General Staff and its NATO military advisors, the Russian army's advance is being recorded in all directions of the front. Moreover, on November 12, at 8 a.m. Moscow time, Ukrainian telegram channels, citing their own sources in the Ukrainian military department, stated that Russian troops had launched an offensive in the Zaporizhzhia direction of the front. Later, official representatives of the Ukrainian General Staff also confirmed this information. In particular, an officer of the Ukrainian army with the call sign Alex officially stated that the Russian troops not only became more active in the Zaporizhzhia region, but also went on the offensive in this direction of the front. According to him, this morning, Russian troops managed to advance significantly into the depths of the Ukrainian defense, toward the city of Uliapol. Commenting on the situation in the Zaporizhzhia direction of the front, many influential Russian telegram channels, known for numerous connections in the Russian military department, said that Russian troops had inflicted the main blow on Ukrainian positions from the village of Mariupol on the morning of November 12. It is reported that during this attack, Russian troops used a fairly large number of armored vehicles and motorcycles. As a result, on November 12, at 3 p.m. Moscow time, Russian troops managed to capture 3 powerful strongholds of the Ukrainian army and overwhelmed the enemy near the city of Uliapol. At the same time, Russian telegram channels and many Russian war correspondents admitted that today's Russia's success in the Zaporizhzhia direction of the front is not a full-scale offensive of the Russian army. According to them, everything that happens in the Zaporizhzhia direction of the front is reconnaissance by force. The fact is that the Russian High Military Command is trying to identify the most vulnerable points of the Ukrainian army's defense in this direction of the front, before inflicting the main blow that will allow Russian troops to reach the border of the Dnipropetrovsk region. The activation of the Russian army in the Vremevsky direction of the front also indicates that the Russian High Military Command is preparing a full-scale offensive in the Zaporizhzhia direction of the front. Let me remind you that on November 10, in the Vremevsky direction of the front, on the border with the Zaporizhzhia region, Russian troops liberated the settlement of Makharovka. And now, 2 days later, war correspondents reported that the Russian army also managed to take full control of the strategically important settlement of ROVNOPOL, west of the recently liberated Makharovka. Moreover, Russian troops also managed to enter Novodorovka on the move and gain a foothold in the southeastern part of this settlement. Currently, the Russian army has also approached the outskirts of the village of Novopol. The liberation of these settlements opens up good prospects for the Russian army to move further towards the Dnipropetrovsk region. In addition, Russian troops will also receive the opportunity to cut the main highway that connects Uliapol with Velika and Novoselka, along which Ukrainian army units are supplied. Thus, it becomes clear that the Russian High Military Command is preparing a breakthrough towards the Dnipropetrovsk region from 3 directions at once: Zaporizhzhia, Vremevsky, and Pokrovsk. In the Kursk direction of the front, the situation of the Ukrainian army has also deteriorated over the past 24 hours. In particular, war correspondents stated that on November 12, soldiers of the group of troops under the designation Sever completely cleared the settlement of Deriino. Later, the Russian military showed footage of the destruction of Ukrainian soldiers who tried to hide in a local chicken coop in the western part of the village of Deriino. Russian soldiers jokingly called it Operation Chicken Coop Storm. Representatives of the Russian military department also confirmed the liberation of the settlement of Deryino. Moreover, commenting on the situation in the Kursk direction of the front, the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation officially stated that over the past 24 hours, the Ukrainian army units have made 7 attempts to attack the positions of the Russian troops in such settlements as Deryino and Novoivanovka. It is reported that during these neat assaults, Ukraine lost up to 80 soldiers, 10 of whom surrendered. In total, over the past 24 hours, the Ukrainian army has lost more than 300 soldiers in the Koronevsky and Sudzansky districts of the Kursk region, which indicates an aggravation of the situation in this direction of the front. By the way, war correspondents noticed that after Donald Trump's victory in the US presidential election, Ukrainian soldiers began to surrender 8 times more often. It is reported that in the last 5 days alone, more than 70 Ukrainian soldiers have surrendered to the Russian army. For example, Ukrainian soldier Andrei Bezruko, who surrendered to the Russian army yesterday in the Kursk direction of the front, said that all Ukrainian soldiers and officers understand perfectly well that Ukraine has lost in this war. According to him, many Ukrainian soldiers want to lay down their arms and surrender, but because of the powerful Ukrainian and Western propaganda, they are afraid to do so. Against this backdrop, Andrei Bezruko urged Ukrainian soldiers not to be afraid of surrender. Lay down your weapons and surrender. It's the only way to save your lives. Don't believe the propaganda. Russians treat the Ukrainian prisoners of war very well, Andrei Bezruko said. Meanwhile, the Russian military department showed video footage of the destruction of the battalion of the 41st Separate Mechanized Brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, in the settlement of Unakovka, SUMY region. It is reported that Russian intelligence managed to discover the exact location of the place of temporary deployment of personnel of the 41st Separate Mechanized Brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, in the southwestern part of the settlement of Unakovka. The most interesting thing is that this battalion also included active duty soldiers and officers of armies of NATO countries. It is reported that all of them were preparing to be transferred to the Sudzansky district of the Kursk region. The footage clearly shows how the Iskander-M ballistic missile hit the building where Ukrainian and NATO soldiers were stationed. Immediately after that, the entire area was shelled with the help of Smerch multiple launch rocket systems, with a cluster warhead. The Russian military department confirmed that as a result of this missile attack, 100 Ukrainian and NATO soldiers were destroyed, as well as 24 pickup trucks, 8 armored combat vehicles, and 9 infantry fighting vehicles.